Alright, so got another thrift store find here. And this is the kind of thing that typically in most thrift stores is going to get passed up. And I kind of just got this piece really for a video, not even because I think that I'm going to make a lot on it, but just to give people some ideas of what they can do with something like this. It's just cheap, you know, 80s laminate. Um, there's two different types of laminate. There's one that was made in the 70s and 80s, 90s, and it's still made. That's kind of cheap, and then there's a different type that was made in the mid-century, and it's a little bit better. But this is definitely a cheap one, and the glass is not popular now. But one thing that can easily be done is to remove this and put some kind of material in it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put burlap squares in the middle of where the glass was. I'm going to change the hardware. I'm probably going to make this into a bar. So my plan is to put some either kind of wine lattice or some kind of wine rack in here. And then this will be just a general purpose storage cabinet. And then this could be for like mixing tools or something like that. I'm probably going to take the base off and put a new red oak base on it. And it's just going to be painted one solid color. So I've got the front doors off of it. And I'm just going to take the glass out and I'm going to clean the whole thing with TSP and get everything ready for primer. Then I'm going to start building the wine rack.
I found it. If I say it's we're online, we're still online. Okay. We got here, let me get it.
All right, so the piece has been primed with a shellac-based primer. The drawers are over there, drying up on the table. And there's the one drawer. So now we're gonna start measuring the top to fit the wine rack. All right, so I actually had to change the way that I was doing this just because I needed some more time to think about how I wanted to utilize the space above for the wine rack the most. So I just decided to paint it and call it a night. All right, so now I'm just working on the burlap. I've got a pneumatic stapler here. Hand staplers don't really work very well, they're very difficult. I mean, the pneumatic ones are still kind of tough depending on how high quality one you have, but you just want to stretch it tight. And I start on one side, work across this way, then I'll start on the other side and pull it tight that way. But you just want to make sure you don't deform it and then it looks like a normal shape that it would be. Also, paint is a little easier stable, so you can afford that real time. You guys for right fairly easy and do this, but you have to work on it. So what I'm actually going to do is bend over the seams on the burlap like this and hot glue it down. And that's just a quick way to do it, but you could use wood trim or something. Alright, so I'm just waiting for the wine rack to dry up. I've got the cane webbing, the burlap hot glued around the trim, around the corners. That's just how I trim it in, is I just use the hot glue gun. I stick it as far as I can into the corners of the panel, and I glue it in, and then I just kind of press over the excess. And it makes it cover up the staples a quick, easy way. Alright, so I've got the wine rack in, and it's basically just what I worked out to find what I could, you know, use in the small space that I had, because you couldn't really fit two bottles on top of each other vertically, and lattice just wasn't really a price effective option here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a way to fasten it down. I've got it painted. I actually got this design from those Doodle Bros, I think, YouTube, and that's who I used. Kind of watched this video and a couple of other ones, and just made kind of my own design on theirs and what I've heard and what I've seen. But I saw this design a lot of places. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and find a way to tack it into here, and then move on to the next step. All right, so I'm gonna put the table legs on, and I've just got this brass kind of table leg that I ordered off, well, furniture leg that I ordered off Amazon. Nothing too fancy, it's pretty cheap. And I'm just gonna mount it into the corners of all this. It's a good sturdy place to mount it, connect it to the base. So I'm gonna keep it pretty simple. Just take the hardware that came with it, make sure it's centered in the corner, and it's easier if you clamp it, but I don't feel like getting any clamps right now. So there's no board on the bottom here to support the leg this way. So I just cut a little red oak or hardwood board, just put some pocket hole screws in it, and just use that place right here. This is a common problem with furniture, that if you want to add legs, you're gonna have to fix somehow, and I don't make any kind of complicated way to fix it. I just do something like this, and move on. Here's the finished wine cabinet. Got it staged up and ready for pictures.